there's been two things that I think have been sort of fascinating about this murder of this healthcare CEO. Now, remember, I think he's also being investigated by the DOJ for some insider trading stuff. We don't know the details of this, but there's been some of that information has been out there. I am not an expert on professional or non-professional assassinations. I know that's weird to cop to, as it were.
I mean, you're protesting a little bit too much. We don't know where you were on the day that Rush Limbaugh died, but we'll put that to the side for now.
Fair. We do know that there was depose, deny, and what's the last one?
Depose, deny, defend? Defend.
Depose, deny, and defend written on the shell casings.
Right.
Which is very similar to...
Delay, deny, defend.
Delay, yes.
Which is a 2010 book entitled Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It.
It's weird that it would be depose instead of delay. And it's also, this guy apparently, according to what the police have now said, he came into town 10 days before. So 4 days before Thanksgiving, spent those 10 days in a basically a hostel, a very relatively inexpensive hotel in New York City, supposedly came on a bus that came from Atlanta, unclear whether he got on in Atlanta, and then has disappeared. People I think know by now, used a silencer, 3 shots. The whole thing was done very professionally. There is a picture that the New York City police have released with his mask down. Apparently, it was a photo from the hostel where he was being asked by the clerk, like, let me see your smile or something like this.
She told Caitlin Collins of CNN that she was flirting with him.
Yeah. and so it is...
Or I should say Caitlin Collins reported that.
Right. And it really is unclear with who is, unclear what was going on. But, and it is... I think the media has become aware of the ire that people have towards private health insurance. Even his wife reportedly said that maybe she thought that the death threats they'd been receiving were about lack of coverage. Who knows? And I could come up with a bunch of different speculation about this, but it would all be within the realm of maybe this had something to do with the investigation about his, if it was like a hired killer to do that, maybe that's what it had to do with, who knows? Or maybe it was somebody who lost a child, lost a spouse, a significant other.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. But on Fox, they have a novel idea as to who could have been involved in this and what the motivation was.
We're about to hear an update now from NYPD. Leo, what things are we looking for when you hear random act is not something that they even suspect at this point? Talk to me about the law.
Oh, I'm looking at planning and premeditation in the sense that this CEO was gunned down. Darren talked about the fact that this guy was there prior to the CEO arriving. I'm also looking at the idea of whether or not he had partners involved. He had a bicycle. He had equipment. He had things that he utilized to execute this individual. So I'm looking at whether or not the police department, and I'm sure the district attorney, is collecting this information. You raised one other point, Harris. You talked about the grid, which Darren talked about. A lot of cities have this grid where there's this cooperation, but New York City is a sanctuary city. Question mark, this guy had a mask on. Question mark as far as the cooperation that's going to take place involving this individual. We don't know his ethnicity. We don't know his legal status. There's a lot of other questions that the prosecution, the district attorney is going to have to feather out.
Must be that he's an illegal immigrant, of course.
But idea that this is, and maybe he's suggesting that this is a foreign hitman brought in, which is, I guess, not inconceivable. I mean, that's possible. Anything is possible in that sense. But the idea that he would have come in anything other than, let's say, a visa, it seems to me like he's smuggled in to commit. It's just sort of the relentless desire to turn it all into their immigrant bad narrative is fascinating.
Because this is exactly the purpose of it. That, even though that was not the most sensationalist clip that we've played from Fox News, that's the most indicative clip about what immigration is really used to do by the right wing. It is used to demonize groups of people who do not have power. Specifically, if you're undocumented, you can't even vote. And usually you're getting paid sub-minimum wage because you're undocumented, so you're more easily exploitable by a boss. Anything but acknowledging the pain that people feel in this country and why I'm less interested in really the motives behind why the shooter did what he did. I'm more interested in the reaction, which basically for anybody who isn't a rich cable news host has not been pearl clutching like I've been seeing on CNN and of course on Fox News. It has been, I get it, totally. Right? And killing somebody is awful and unjustifiable. You can't say it's justified, but it is, the right word is understandable given the pain that people feel in this country, that medical bankruptcy is the top reason people go bankrupt in this country, because we have these billionaires and these for-profit insurers who are sucking people dry because they're just trying to be healthy and live their lives. And when he mentions the mask there, it just reminds me, like, we have RFK Jr. saying we need to ban pasteurized milk, which is just heating milk to get the pathogens and bacteria out. Like, the Democrats need to reclaim single payer and a healthcare first policy, specifically like that in 2028. That's who the candidate needs to embrace single payer, because we can't cede the healthcare conversation to libertarian cranks who say that it can all be solved via your consumption choices in the marketplace. We need a healthcare system that doesn't drive people to have this anger, because Fox News, I hate to break it to you, the anger isn't about immigrants in this instance. You can't just blame immigrants. It's about our for-profit healthcare system, which is killing thousands of people every year in this country.
And, Ben from Chicago on the IM says the killer could spray paint "I hate American healthcare system" on the body, and the corporate media would still be asking if there's a known motive. I think Emma's point is that it really doesn't matter what the motive is of this killing. Because what is far, in terms of like, what is relevant is the reaction that is coming from the American public, which is they hate their health care and they feel it's so unjust that they don't care about the murder of this person. Now, I mean, look, if we were to care about the murder of every single person, we would be incapable of doing anything, certainly here, because we've had to witness tens of thousands of people be killed by our tax dollars in Israel. We've watched over the past 4 years, 1.5 million people die approximately because of COVID, and tens of thousands at least who have long COVID, and it's problematic. And as a society, we just sort of like, even if like maybe half of those people didn't have to die had we responded to COVID in the way that other Western industrialized countries had around the globe. I mean, so the bottom line is it doesn't matter whether this person was some type of secret spy brought in from some foreign country to take this guy out because of some diamond caper. The point is that people reacted. There are so many people whose experiences with these companies has left them so angry, and that they are at the point where they are applauding a murder. And that's what's relevant in terms of like trying to assess what's going on in this country.
But you know what they're going to do in response? They're going to ban masking like they did in Nassau County in New York. That'll be the response because the guy was wearing a mask.
Because there's so many assassinations like this that are taking place. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.